Hello there, and welcome to 10 advanced tips and tricks for Mind Over Magic, which will lead over various parts of the gameplay that I personally felt like are worth knowing and make your life hopefully easier. So let's not talk long beforehand, let's get right into the first thing. I want to talk about food and management of food. So first up, what the game fails to show directly is that while you unlock really good stuff at the Dragon Walk, the work amount on these meals is obscene compared to the regular one. So just to give you a perspective here, meat and veggies 144, leafy greens 96. Now let's check out the gruel pot. And honeyed gruel, the king of the crop here, 24. And if you take it on the very simple ones like bitter gruel, 8. So if you don't take care, you will quickly run into two things. For one, you won't get enough food for the entire school, and the wrong people will eat the food that is meticulously prepared. So I personally strongly recommend to go here into the meals management menu. And my personal rule of thumb would go like this, that I'd block the really good things from the students, because students can be so much easier made happy with other sources of happiness. All above them would be, for example, the common room that just gives them so much conviction bonus that they don't need quality food. So bringing the quality food to your top line staff, you know, the grouchy, grumpy mages at the top of the food chain, these guys, they enjoy the conviction bonus, and it's really important for the later stages of the game to keep these guys sane and keep that good food where it matters. Last but not least, good fire mages help a lot too. That's definitely a thing. Your kitchen, especially the Dragon Walk, is a tricky thing, so work around it. Number 2, I want to talk about students, relics, and gnosis shards. So, as you can see, these three items are directly related to one another, and I want to say the following. You should always try to have some students and somebody on the way to graduation, obviously, but here's a couple of tricks how you can refine the process. So, at the beginning, obviously, you just fire them out when they're level 3, because you can't do much more. Once you have the tier 2 wands unlocked and the transfigurator here available, you get the ability to increase the level of the wand and therefore also increase the quality of the student. That does two things. For one, it gives you students that have a higher skill level, and the other thing is they will produce higher level relics. Tier 2 wands are a little bit of a problematic thing though, because they also add in the extra needs of the different colors of magic. Wrong screen. So fire mages gain a victory need and so on and so forth. The easier way is to take the higher investment of research points, because the apprentice benches sit mostly here on the later part of the tier 2 researches. Apprenticeships also increase the potency of your students by giving them more skill levels, a higher level of total student level. I don't know how to call this stuff. And this means you'll also get more gnosis shards, more better relics, more time to level up relics. So altogether, apprenticeship is easier to pull off than the tier 2 ones, because you can make a tier 1 student, so to speak, an apprentice, and that gives you all the gravy without too much work, because they will behave mostly like the basic students you knew before. They don't have any specific appetites or needs or anything, and I like the what I like to call the bland apprenticehood, because that gives you a nice income of solid relics and gnosis shards on the side. If you combine tier 2 and apprenticehood, obviously it gets better and better, but that's a completely different topic. Number 3, apprentice combat power. So when you're just starting out, I personally think one of the very first things that I would always beeline towards would be one apprentice of a certain flavor. Doesn't matter which one, but in general, once you have the ability to declare somebody a apprentice, and even better, give them a tier 2 wand, you have such a different combat potential in your hands compared to when you started the game. It is insane. It trivializes so many of the encounters early on. So if you want to get your foot in the door quickly with all those things, research towards a apprentice bench as quick as you can and go for the wand transfigurator in the Rocky Ruins, and you'll have access to top-notch fighting power quite quickly. And I personally like this because it's not that hard to pull off, and it gives you a huge payoff, and it gives you also a direction to work towards too. I don't want to say which element is the best, because I'd personally say all of the elements have their advantages, and depending on your taste, just look at the spells which you want to try out the most. Go for that first. It's that simple. Because it's all about fun at the end of the day, right? So, number 4, I want to talk about the MAGE Score. I don't know if you are aware of it, but when you go into the Book of Rooms, back there is a MAGE Score tab. If you are familiar with RimWorld, this screen might be familiar to you as well. What I'm trying to get down to here is that the game counts how successful you are in many different metrics. So as you see, the bottommost is time elapsed. So the longer the game goes, it has a flat out tendency to get more dangerous to you, because the game is evaluating the threats it's tossing out at you in comparison to this score here. So in short, the quicker you gain score, the more dangerous the game gets. The other side is also true. If you lose score, you can tune down the difficulty of the game. I don't know if that really works with the tuning down. I mean, in RimWorld it does. I didn't try it here yet. But what I did experience myself is, if you explore quite heavily, I did this here in this early phase, the amount of encounters was ungodly. So if you ever have the feeling as if the game is flooding you with events, just slow down a bit with everything, and you'll see the impact. But long story short, your actions have consequences, and if you get too rich too quickly, it also has consequences. Therefore, amping up your fighting power, like I said in the previous point, is a really good way to protect yourself from dying from being successful. And number 5, tier 2 wands for refining beasts. So, I'm talking about the Kronbach here and the Weaverbird. These both need to be hatched. They need students with a skill level of 4 in specific schools. I've seen people trying to achieve this with apprentice hoods, which is perfectly possible because an apprentice gets automatically an increase in their in their school of choice. But it does require a ton of research to get there. It is so much easier to research the tier 2 wands and then get the personnel in question equipped with a couple of tier 2 wands where necessary, where they need a tier 4, that is, or level 4 of a spell, of a magic school, and that's that. You have an easy solution for this, and I would strongly recommend to go this way if you haven't unlocked apprentices yet. If you have apprentices unlocked, of course, it's a completely different deal. But I gotta say, these apprentice workstations are huge, costly. You need specific rooms for it. Going for wands is so much easier when you want to just hatch a bug or hatch a bird. Number 6. When it comes down to the words, keywords in the Book of Rooms, only grounded is the only one that's really problematic. All of the others, skewed, lofted, elevated, they can be tricked around. So, to give you a couple of examples, a skewed room can work like that. Just put one piece of floor here, and then just draw a wall to make the difference that you need. Boom, skewed done. You need interior? Well, you see here the best cheated interior room that I've ever done. It's just a padded room that has a couple of hollow spaces in here. These prevent whitecap growing, in case you're wondering. And a little roof on top of that, boom, interior. Same goes for lofted, and here, towered. You see this one is now towered because it has a little gap in between. They're all quite easy to achieve, except for grounded. Grounded requires you to build right here, and that is pretty difficult to pull up. You could technically also build into the underschool, but most underschool rooms are just not qualified to be schoolrooms. Long story short, grounded rooms, keep an eye out on them, build foundation where necessary to expand into, and probably keep a little bit of room above available. These are the rooms that you need to plan ahead most of all of them, in my personal experience. Of course, there's various different solutions that you can apply, but yeah, if you are worried about things that you need to plan ahead before building big, just worry about the grounded ones. All the other ones you can wing it when you know how to build. When you learned how to build in the game, you can wing all of the other room types. Grounded, on the other hand, well, it's just here. Yeah. Number 7, the power of windows. So as you see here, my school has windows everywhere. This is because this makes the tier 2 nature and darkness mages trivial in their need for sunlight and moonlight. Whatever they do in the school, they will get the specific light they require, and it doesn't do much of an not much of an effort, and I can recommend it so much to get it into your habits, to just get a window into the room if there's any activity happening in it. But even if my shadow mages are just traversing through the through this here, they fulfill their moonlight need, and it's just a foolproof way to keep your mages happy on that end, and it's so darn easy to fulfill. Number 8, relations. So relations are a little bit of a annoying and icky little thing in this game. Well, it's not that bad, but what I want to recommend here is you can safely ignore all relations that the people form that you will kick out in the school, but do kick out people whenever they are ready to be kicked out before they form relations with a staff, because the staff might get sad about the student going back. It's really harsh because it's a very brutal conviction penalty. And the other thing is, if you notice that your staff is forming relations with one another, I would recommend to immediately configure your sleeping room, your eating room, your recreation room, whatever it touches, to reflect those needs. You can't exactly allow the game who has access to which thing, and this way you can form groups of people doing their thing. Obviously, you can also adjust schedules, make groups. The game has various tools to fulfill that. I personally fulfill this with just access rules, and it works out fine most of the time. You have to find your own solution, but relations, if you don't respect them, they can easily cascade into a problematic situation, because it gives you a pretty brutal conviction penalty if you don't eat with your body, if you don't recreate with your body. All of a sudden the day is horrible, and then you eat a gutberry, and all of a sudden you just demolish your entire school before you know it. That's a different story though. Number 9, fighters and workers. So I would always recommend to go for specializations on your staff. This is due to the fact that relics that you equip can only be, either or. These relics that you equip that give attunement powers that are valuable in combat are of no value whatsoever while doing your day-by-day things in the school, and vice versa. So I personally have made good experience in racking up the combat relics on specific people that I want to have downstairs whenever there's something to explore, or when something attacks the school. These are really nice ways of having a really powerful fighting force available, because, there is attunement time. These guys here are not optimized yet, but if you wonder what to do with your free time, you can separate your staff in fighters and workers and optimize the relics of the workers on the same hand, because in every job there are relics to make the jobs go faster. Especially specializing into a cook, like I said in number 1, pays off tremendously, because some things are just linked to such obscene work amounts that it really pays off. And lastly, number 10, Convocations and gifted students. So why we had quite some talk about the relics, and once you have an archive set up, you can display relics on plinths. Some of these have the summoning or convocation ability. This allows you to specify directly what kind of race your initiate is supposed to have. You just plug in the relevant relic for a specific race, and then you get exactly that kind of student. This is very useful if you have a specific school in mind. For example, for a lightning mage, you don't want a vivified. You just don't want vivified because they have an innately super low speed value. And, that's just one of the many things that you can do with that. And gifted students that you can recruit can have an extra relic slot. So this is something that is really, really important to note. If you want to make high-end mages, they should be gifted. But if you don't want to make a high-end mage, if you just want to earn currency, just don't make them gifted. It is pretty much that. And don't start with gifted people before you have apprenticehood, because you're basically wasting half of the benefit there, in my humble opinion. Because once you're staff, you can't go back to the apprenticehood. So that's my experiences so far. So, I hope you found these 10 things helpful. There's surely more to say, so feel free to dump a few of your insights into the comment section. You're more than welcome. And leave a like, leave a subscribe. Consider checking out the other videos on my channel. And of course, feel free to support. If you're feeling like my work is worth a dime to you, it would mean a lot to me. And I want to say a lot of thanks to people who do support the channel, and I want to say thanks specifically to you for watching this video up until the very end. So, I hope you have a great day, and see you soon.